Hi, I'm Rob from B&H, and in this video we're taking a look at a remarkable digital mixing console from Behringer, the X32 Compact. Like a lot of Behringer products, the X32 series comes at an excellent price point, but the build quality and feature set of these mixers is truly remarkable. 40 input channels, 25 buses, Midas mic preamps, 8 high-quality built-in effect engines, motorized faders, iPad or computer remote control, instant recall of settings, and more make the X32 a real powerhouse for theaters, houses of worship, live music venues, and other applications, including studio use. There are 5 models in the line: the original X32, the X32 Producer, the X32 Rack, the X32 Core, and the X32 Compact, which I have in front of me today. Even though we only have the Compact here in the studio today, all of the models feature the same mix engine. The differences are really in the size, input configurations, and the control surfaces. So the mix engine features that we're looking at today with the Compact model here will apply to any of the other models, and at the end I'll touch briefly on some of the differences between the models. The X32 series has so many features that I won't have time to cover them all in this video, but I'm going to try to hit the highlights for you. Let's start by taking a look at the ins and outs. On the back of the X32 Compact, you'll see the 16 XLR mic line inputs that feed the high-quality Midas mic preamps, each with a 72 dB gain range and individually switchable phantom power. The full-size X32 offers 32 mic pre's. The other models all have 16, like the Compact. There are also 6 balanced aux line inputs and a stereo RCA aux input that feeds auxes 5 and 6. Auxes 7 and 8 are fed a stereo signal via the USB input on the top of the board, ideal for playing background music between sets from a USB flash drive. You can also use this top USB port to record a 2-channel mix to a USB stick or external hard drive. To supplement those 16 XLR inputs are 2 digital AES-50 ports, allowing access of up to 96 channels of bidirectional audio via Behringer's S16 digital snake system, making the X32 Compact very easily expandable. Also back here are the 8 XLR outputs, 6 balanced aux outputs, a pair of TRS outputs for monitor connection, and a pair of unbalanced RCA aux outs. This particular X32 Compact came with the XUF interface card already installed, which features both a FireWire port and a USB port, but recently Behringer has decided to ship the Compact with the XUSB card installed instead, since FireWire is being used less and less. Either card allows you to record 32 channels to your computer and play them back via USB. Also back here is an AES-3 output, a P16 Ultranet connection for use with Behringer's P16M personal monitoring system, an Ethernet connection for remote control, and MIDI in and out ports. Routing those audio ins and outs is done on the X32's I/O page. The control surface for the 40-bit floating point DSP mix engine is logical and intuitive. As I said, the X32 Compact is a 40-channel board, but we've only got 17 faders to work with. 16 really if you discount the master fader. The 100mm faders are arranged in groups of 8, input channels on the left side and groups and buses on the right, with a row of buttons to the left of each section that assigns the faders in groups of 8. So for example, if I want to start hearing the inputs on the first 8 XLR connections, I'll select the button labeled Input Channels 1 through 8, and now these faders are the main levels for those inputs. So if I'm using the X32 for both monitor mixes for the band and the front of house mix, for example, here's where I construct that front of house mix, and I'll page between my different inputs in banks of 8. But before I worry about that though, I'll first need to set up the channel's input gain stage, which is easily done with the hands-on controls in this X-channel section. I'll select the button on the channel I want to work with, and now I can set the gain level for the preamp, frequency of the low-cut filter, gate and dynamics, each with sidechain input, 4-band EQ, talkback and monitor levels, and routing and sends to the buses. There's also an insert point here which can be inserted either before or after the EQ and compressor section, and the inserts can be routed to either internal effects or to outboard via the aux outs. The buttons that correspond to various functions all light up when engaged, and the rotary encoders have light-up LEDs so you can see their values at a glance. For more detailed information, I can hit the View button in any given section, and that area will light up on the Daylight Viewable TFT screen. Underneath the display are 6 push encoders that allow you to select and alter parameters that vary depending on what's on the display. The faders also feature individual channel strips, so at a glance you can see metering, the name and input of the channel, if the compressor and gate are engaged, and of course, mute and solo statuses. You can name your channels and color code them for easy viewing on each channel's little customizable LCD screen. The X32 Compact offers 6 separate mute groups, allowing you to mute multiple related channels quickly. Say, for example, if you wanted to mute and unmute all the background singers at the touch of one button. Similarly, there are 8 digitally controlled amplifier or DCA groups available. Again, with the background singers example, I can group all of the individual singers to a DCA group and adjust the overall blend of the backgrounds on this side with one fader, while still being able to make changes to the blend on the left side, say if I need to bring up one of the singers in the blend a little bit. Creating custom monitor mixes for performers on the X32 is easy. Simply route a mix bus to an output, which you can then plug into a stage monitor or wireless transmitter for in-ear monitoring. The master output volume for the bus is set on the right side, and I can create the monitor mix using the encoders here if the screen is on the sends view, but an easier way, for me at any rate, is to use the Sends on Faders button. Now I can select the bus I want to create a mix for with the select buttons on the right, and the faders on the left now act as a send to that bus. So if I have a custom monitor mix for the vocalist on bus 1 and another monitor mix for the guitar player on bus 2, I can easily move between them and make quick adjustments and then get back to my front of house mix by disengaging the Sends on Faders button. It's a great feature. Since we're talking about monitor mixes, I should reiterate that the X32 series is completely compatible with Behringer's PowerPlay P16 personal monitoring for 16 channels of personal monitoring. The system allows musicians to actually set up their own monitor mixes using the P16M digital mixers with them on stage. The X32's 40-bit floating point mix engine also includes 8 high-quality effect engines. The first 4 can be set up as sends or inserts, while the last 4 are insert only. So obviously the first 4 make good choices for setting up effects like reverb or delay that you'll want to send multiple signals to, while the remaining 4 are better suited for individual tracks or buses, perhaps a graphic EQ on an individual guitar channel, or maybe a limiter across a drum bus. The effects sound great and effectively cover most of the bases with multiple algorithms, including delays, chorus, phasing, dynamics, amp and tube simulations, and more, including an impressive selection of reverbs. They're obviously simulations of popular well-known staples like the Lexicon 480L and EMT 250 plate reverb, among others. The X32 also offers 6 matrix outputs for additional functionality when you route mix buses out of the console. The most obvious use for the matrices is for zones of speakers. So for example, if you need to time delay a speaker array to adjust for phase issues, you can use the delay in the matrix. Or if you want to send different frequencies to different speakers, perhaps the low end to a woofer and the top end to a separate tweeter array, you can use EQs and filters in the matrices to tailor the outputs. All of this complex information, mic pre's, channel strip settings, effects, monitor, FOH mix, etc., can all be recalled as scenes, of course, allowing the engineer to instantly recall settings for different bands or types of performances, or maybe if you're working in the studio, the settings for different songs that are in progress. Another time saver are the 8 user-assignable control buttons that can be assigned to parameters you use most often. Another wonderful feature with the X32 series is the ability to control the board remotely over a network with a computer or iPad via a wireless router connected to its Ethernet port. The great thing about this is that it frees the engineer up to move around the venue and adjust settings in real time with the board at a distance. The X32 series has been primarily designed as a live board, but it can certainly work in studio environments as well, especially because of the built-in XUSB, or in this case the XUF card, which as I mentioned earlier turns the board into an audio interface for 32 channels in and out of a computer's DAW. Also in a live setting, this means you can record the band's rehearsal to individual tracks and use those tracks for a sort of virtual sound check even if the band's not around. You can also use the X32 as a large format control surface for your DAW. So instead of moving a mouse around, you can use the mute and solo buttons and of course the 100mm faders to control tracks in your DAW using either MIDI CC info or Huey or Mackie protocol, although only the faders on the group bus side can be used for remote DAW control. The removable XUSB card is smart, as it allows users to update only the card to use different connections. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a MADI or perhaps a Thunderbolt card at some point. So as I mentioned at the beginning, in addition to the X32 Compact that we have with us today, there are 4 other models. As I mentioned, the full-size X32 has 32 mic pre's and also gives you 32 faders and 5 dedicated aux send knobs. The X32 Producer is smaller and more portable than the Compact and can also be rack-mounted. The X32 Rack is a 3-rack space version that ditches the motorized faders and pares the control surface down to the 5-inch display and some encoder knobs, the idea being that you'll simply use your computer or iPad as the control surface. The X32 Core is even more minimal, packing the whole X32 brain into one rack space with very few controls and substituting a small LCD display for the TFT screen, and again, you'll use a computer or iPad to work with it. So hopefully that gives you some idea of what the Behringer X32 Compact and the X32 series is all about. With a powerful mix engine at a remarkable price point, Behringer's X32 series is going to make a lot of live sound engineers very happy. I'm Rob from B&H, and thanks for watching.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.